This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. Consult with a qualified professional before making any investment decisions.
Welcome to The Wire, Agent Edition, the week in real estate presented in digestible bites. Hold on while our AI hosts take us on another ride through this week's top real estate headlines.
Welcome back, Wire listeners, to The Deep Dive. Always great to have you with us as we unpack what's going on in the real estate world.
Absolutely. This week, we've got a really interesting mix of articles. We're talking about the spring market, of course.
Of course.
Leveraging your network, online lead generation, all those things that are top of mind.
Oh, yeah. Staying ahead of the curve, those social media trends. And we also have some insights into how agents are doing financially, plus that all-important topic of accurate MLS listings.
Yeah, forget about that one. So much good stuff to dive into.
So our mission this week, if you choose to accept it, and I think you will.
I hope so.
Is to come away with some solid takeaways.
Actionable insights.
Yes. To boost your business, help you avoid any pitfalls, and really understand those forces at play in the real estate world right now.
I think we can do that.
All right. Let's unpack this.
Let's get into it.
So first up, we have Daryl Davis in RIS Media talking about thriving in the spring market. And I love that he starts by saying, be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's a tough market.
It is a tough market.
You know things are changing. You know we've got to adapt. So how do you think agents can practically apply that kindness to themselves in their day-to-day?
Well, I think a big part of it is recognizing what you can and can't control. Right? Like, you can't control interest rates.
Right. Yeah.
You can't control the overall economy.
Nope.
But you can control your mindset. You can control how you react to these challenges.
Yeah, how you show up every day.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So focusing on what you can influence your strategies, how you connect with clients, improving your skills, that's a way of being kind to yourself professionally.
I love that. And then he goes into some really tactical advice, like making 2 prospecting calls a day.
Yeah.
But focusing on helping.
Right.
So in this market, where maybe some agents are feeling that pressure to close deals, why do you think that helping mindset is so important?
Well, because at the end of the day, this is a relationship business. People can tell if you're just trying to make a quick sale, especially when things are a bit shaky.
Yeah, nobody wants to feel like they're being sold to right now.
Yeah. Exactly. So approaching it from a genuine place of wanting to help, to understand their needs, to offer solutions, even if it doesn't lead to a sale right away, that builds trust. It makes people see you as a valuable resource.
It plants those seeds for the future.
It really does.
Yeah. He also talks about maximizing open houses, even suggesting borrowing listings.
Interesting.
To get in front of potential clients and really connect with those neighbors. What's the value there beyond just hoping somebody walking by wants to buy that particular house?
Well, think about it. Those neighbors are potential sellers down the line. Or they might know someone who's looking to buy or sell.
It's all about that sphere. Right.
Exactly. You're becoming the local expert, the go-to person in that neighborhood, whether or not that specific open house is a fit.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
And then he talks about finding that profitable farm area.
Right.
And he gives specific numbers, a minimum of 7 to 8% turnover rate. And avoid those areas where one competitor just dominates the market.
Yeah, you don't want to be fighting an uphill battle the whole time.
No, it's got to be strategic.
It's about choosing your battles, finding that niche where you can really become a key player.
Yeah. And then finally, that reminder to invest just 1 hour a week in developing your skills.
It sounds simple, but it's so easy to let that slip.
So easy. What skills do you think are most crucial right now for agents in this market?
I think it's a combination of things.
Yeah.
Staying up to date on market trends is essential. You got to know what's going on.
Got to be able to advise your clients.
Right. But also communication skills, negotiation skills are huge, especially with the way commissions are being discussed post NAR settlement.
Absolutely.
And of course, mastering those new technologies, lead generation, client communication, all that good stuff.
So important. So let's switch gears a bit. We have that Redfin survey reported by Housing Wire, and it offers a really interesting contrast.
Yeah.
Because despite all the talk of this being a tough market, a good number of agents actually said they earned more in 2024 than in 2023.
Interesting.
And there was an increase in those making 6 figures. So what do you think is driving that?
Well, it might be that fewer new agents are entering the field.
Oh, that's a good point.
So more business for the experienced agents who are left.
Yeah, the ones who have weathered those storms before.
Right. Maybe they're just better equipped to handle the current conditions.
Yeah. But then the survey also says that over a third of agents have second jobs, and almost half are less likely to recommend real estate as a career.
Okay, so that's not so positive.
Right. That kind of paints a different picture. How do we reconcile those two things?
Well, it seems like there's a real split happening in the profession. Some agents are doing great, they're thriving,
Yeah.
but others are struggling. They're facing financial instability.
Yeah.
They're not happy. It's tough to get started in this market, and even tougher to build a sustainable business.
Right. And the survey also touched on commission's post-NAGAR settlement. It said there are more negotiations happening, but there's also strong support for clear cooperation within the MLS. What does that tell you?
I think it shows that agents are adapting. They know things are changing. They're having those conversations about commissions,
Yeah.
but they still see the value in the MLS.
Yeah.
It's still the best way to get property seen. And clear cooperation is key to keeping that marketplace fair and transparent.
Yeah. So the survey also highlighted concerns about the U.S. economy, rising discrimination, higher home insurance costs. These are big picture things, but how do they trickle down and impact an agent's day-to-day work?
Well, they have a real impact. Economic uncertainty makes buyers and sellers hesitant. They're not sure what to do.
Right.
And discrimination is a huge issue. Agents need to be aware of it, fight against it.
Yeah.
It's not just ethical, it's good business.
Absolutely.
And then higher home insurance costs. Well, that just makes it harder for people to afford a home. It affects their buying decisions.
Yeah, these are all things that agents have to talk to their clients about.
They're all part of the equation.
So now let's get the perspective of brokerage leadership. We have the Power Broker Report from RAS Media. Maria Patterson calls 2024 a trying year, and she lists lawsuits, rule changes, inflation, high prices, low inventory. Sounds like they were hit from all sides.
They definitely face some challenges. But it's interesting because despite a slight dip in transactions, the top 1,000 brokerages actually saw an increase in sales volume.
So higher prices because of that low inventory.
Well, exactly. Low inventory is the driving force right now.
Yeah, and the report also talks about consolidation in the industry as a big trend. What do you think? Are we going to see more of that? And what does it mean for the independent agents out there?
I think we probably will see more consolidation. It's natural in a tough market. The big players want to get bigger. They want that market share.
Right.
It can make it tougher for the smaller firms to compete.
Yeah.
But it also creates opportunities for agents who want the resources and support of a larger company.
It's a trade-off.
It is. And one thing I thought was interesting in this report is that power brokers had different views on the market. Some said challenged, others said balanced or healthy. How do you explain that?
Yeah, what are the different perspectives?
Well, real estate is local. What's happening in one part of the country might be totally different from another.
Yeah, makes sense.
And some brokerages focus on different parts of the market. Maybe they're more into luxury properties, which are holding up better.
Interesting. So looking ahead to 2025, the power brokers said their main concerns were the lawsuits, the political climate, the economy, of course, and those high mortgage rates.
Big concerns.
Yeah, inventory and affordability were also top of mind. But there was this sense of optimism that consumers might adapt to the higher rates and we might see the inventory freeze start to thaw. What do you think? Are you optimistic?
I think it's possible. People tend to adjust over time. If rates stay stable, even at a higher level, buyers and sellers will factor that in. We might find a new normal.
A new baseline.
Exactly. But those other factors, the economy, politics, they make things unpredictable.
A lot of uncertainty out there. The report also said that success in this market is about adapting to change. And they predicted that some agents might leave the industry, which could lead to a more professional overall agent pool.
A bit of a silver lining, perhaps.
Yeah, like a market correction. Rises to the top.
The tougher market means you have to be really good to succeed. You have to be dedicated, knowledgeable, client-focused.
It raises the bar for everybody.
And that's good for the industry as a whole.
So we've got these 3 articles on the market: resilience, adaptation, challenges. It seems like the themes are pretty consistent.
They are. It's a complex picture. There's no easy answer. Agents need to be proactive. They need to be informed.
Right. Okay, let's talk about lead generation and client engagement. Alec Greenberg in RAS Media gives some great advice on leveraging your network. He says, don't forget about friends and family. That's 6 degrees of separation. How can agents do that without feeling pushy?
Well, it's about being natural. Make it part of your conversations. If you have a great real estate story to share or some market news, share it.
Don't be afraid to talk about what you do.
Exactly. Just let people know that you're there to help if they or someone they know needs a real estate professional. Stay top of mind, but in a helpful way.
I like that. He also talks about connecting with contractors and landscapers.
Oh, yeah. They're often the first to know when someone's thinking of selling.
So how can agents build those relationships?
Be a good partner. Give them referrals when your clients need their services. Be a resource for them. Maybe even collaborate on events or content. It's about mutual benefit.
It's a two-way street.
Exactly. And he also mentions the Chamber of Commerce. That's a great way to connect with other businesses, learn about trends, even get insights into local government.
It's about expanding your network beyond just potential clients.
It's about building that social capital. Those connections can lead to unexpected opportunities down the road.
Okay, so let's talk about online lead generation. Megan DeMatteo in Housing Wire gives 7 tips for those high-converting landing pages. She says the headline is crucial.
It's the first thing people see.
It's got to grab their attention.
It's got to be clear, compelling, and speak to their needs.
So what makes a good headline?
It needs to resonate with the visitor. Instead of something generic, use language that addresses their pain points or their aspirations.
So something like unlock the door to your dream home instead of just search listings.
Exactly. That first one taps into emotion. It makes them feel something.
Yeah. She also talks about using a lifestyle headshot.
That personal touch.
Why is that still so important online?
Because people want to connect with a human being,
Not just a website.
right? A friendly face makes you more approachable, more relatable. It builds trust.
Yeah. And she says to empathize with pain points and offer solutions. She gives the example of a cash offer, highlighting the speed and convenience.
Yeah, you got to understand what the seller's going through. Maybe they need to sell quickly. Maybe they don't want the hassle of showings. You offer them a solution to their problem.
Makes sense. And then there's that web design principle of don't make me think, make the page easy to navigate.
Oh, that's so important. If a landing page is confusing, people are going to leave.
Yeah, they'll bounce right off.
Exactly. So keep it clean, keep it simple, clear visuals, concise information, and strong calls to action.
Speaking of calls to action, she says to personalize them.
Make them specific.
So instead of just submit, say something like, find my dream home now.
Exactly. It's more engaging, more relevant.
Yeah.
People know exactly what to expect when they click.
And don't underestimate the power of social proof, those testimonials and reviews.
Oh, they're gold. It's like word of mouth, but online. People trust what others say about you.
Yeah, it builds that credibility. And finally, the call now button.
Sometimes people just want to talk to a real person.
Especially if they have a question or they're ready to move forward.
Right. Make it easy for them to reach you. And I love that she breaks down examples of real landing pages so you can see how all these elements work together.
So helpful. Okay, on to social media. Paige Brown in RES Media gives us the rundown on the latest updates. It seems like they're changing all the time.
They are. It's hard to keep up.
Instagram has that rectangular grid now and the new Reels tab. How should agents be thinking about using these features?
Well, the rectangular grid is great for visually impactful content. And the Reels tab is all about video discovery. So create engaging Reels. Property tours, market updates, client testimonials. That's how you reach a wider audience.
Yeah, video is king. And on Facebook, they're prioritizing the Friends tab and enhancing Reels, longer videos, creative tools. Does this change how agents should use Facebook?
It does. It's more about personal connection now. While business pages are still important, think about using your personal profile to share those real estate insights and video updates.
Yeah, leverage your network. And LinkedIn has AI assistants and verified certifications now. How can agents use those to their advantage?
The AI can help you write better content and reach out to more people. It saves you time.
Very cool.
And the verified certifications add credibility to your profile. It shows that you're a pro.
Yeah, people trust those little blue check marks. So YouTube is expanding shorts and improving analytics. Is that relevant for agents who aren't necessarily video pros?
It absolutely is. Shorts are easy to make. You don't need fancy equipment.
Yeah.
And the analytics tell you what's working and what's not, so you can keep getting better.
So even if you're just starting out, you can learn as you go.
Exactly. And TikTok has longer videos now and better search and ad targeting. Is it finally time for real estate to take TikTok seriously? I think so. It's a great way to reach younger buyers and sellers. You can showcase properties in fun and creative ways, and the longer videos give you more room to tell a story.
So if you're comfortable on camera, TikTok is worth exploring.
Definitely. The bottom line is social media is always changing.
You got to stay informed.
Yeah, and be willing to try new things.
All right, last but not least, let's talk about avoiding those costly mistakes in MLS listings. Donna Halfpenny in Realtor Magazine says inaccurate data hurts everyone.
It really does.
So why is accuracy in the MLS so important?
Because the MLS is the heart of the real estate industry. It's where all the information comes from. If the data is wrong, it affects everything. CMAs, BPOs, appraisals, pricing strategies.
It can even lead to legal problems.
Exactly. It undermines the whole system.
So she talks about 6 common errors. First up, omitting or misreporting concessions. She says this is especially important post-NAR settlement. Why is that?
Well, because now that buyer agent compensation is changing, we need to be really clear about concessions. How are they being used? How do they affect the price? Appraisers need this information to do their job properly.
And transparency is key.
Absolutely. Then there's getting the property type wrong or using the wrong real estate terms. These might seem like small things, but why do they matter?
It's the big deal.
Well, for one thing, it wastes everyone's time. If the property is classified incorrectly, buyers might show up and be disappointed. And if you're using the wrong terms, it creates confusion and mistrust.
It makes you look unprofessional.
Exactly. It's all about attention to detail.
And then there's square footage errors, especially those tricky above grade versus below grade calculations. How can agents make sure they're getting this right?
Know your local guidelines and the MLS rules. Don't just rely on tax records. They might be outdated.
Yeah, they're not always accurate.
If you're not sure, get a professional measurement. It's worth the peace of mind.
And that whole idea of verifying public records applies to more than just square footage, right?
Oh, yeah. Public records can be wrong about all sorts of things. It's your job as the agent to double-check everything. Make sure the information is accurate before you put it in the MLS.
You're the one who's responsible.
Right. And finally, there's the solar system information. Ownership versus lease, UCC filings, panel details. Why is this becoming more important? Because solar systems can really affect a property's value. Buyers need to know if there's a lease involved. Appraisers need to know the specifics of the system.
Full transparency.
Exactly. It can make or break a deal.
So the takeaway here is be meticulous, double check everything. Accuracy is crucial.
Absolutely. It's about protecting yourself and your clients.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. What would you say is the most surprising thing we learned from all these articles?
I think the most surprising thing for me is how well some agents are doing in this market.
Yeah, that Redfin survey was interesting.
Despite all the challenges, those experienced agents, the ones with the solid networks and strategies, they're not just surviving, they're thriving.
And it's a good reminder that there are always opportunities out there.
There are. You just have to know where to look and be prepared to work for them.
So if you could give our listeners just one key takeaway from this deep dive, what would it be?
Be proactive. Be a lifelong learner. The market is always changing. Technology is always evolving.
You got to stay ahead of the curve.
You do. Keep learning, keep refining your approach, and always focus on providing exceptional service to your clients.
Love it. That's great advice. All right, that's our deep dive for this week.
Hope you found it valuable.
We encourage you to think about these themes. How can you apply them to your business? What resonated with you? What questions do you have? Let us know.
We love hearing from you.
As you head into another week, stay proactive, stay connected, keep learning, and we'll be back soon with another deep dive. Until then, keep wiring up those deals.
See you next time.
If you're interested in your own personalized edition of The Wire, please visit us at thewire.fm/custom. We offer market-specific podcasts with all the latest real estate news and market analysis delivered to you weekly or monthly. Own your market with a personalized edition of The Wire, the week in real estate. Thank you for listening.